Hello, everybody, and happy 2012 New Year. My name is Bernard Alvarez, and I am the Executive Director for the Global Illumination Council. Today, I wanted to share with you some intuitive and or logical mixed predictions that I have feeling and stirring up inside of me about 2012 and beyond, actually. Before I do go into talking about my so-called predictions for 2012, I want to remind you all that these are not set in stone. I am not going to be making any predictions about, I don't know, Britney Spears getting married or anything like that. This is not meant to be tabloid-esque. If anything, this is merely a combination of what my heart is telling me mixed with what my head has been seeing. So it is a mixture of intuitive knowledge as well as regular academic knowledge. So bear with me and take that into consideration as you listen to this video. The first thing that I would like to talk about what my sense is for 2012 and the planet itself, are earth changes. We seem to be having and have gone through quite a bit of earth changes over the past several years. We all are very aware of this, and it is my gut feeling, and of course, again, my observation, that planet Earth is still not rebalanced. She is, through no fault of her own, as well as, through no fault of our own and according to what happens when we pollute and destroy and frack and suck the blood life out of her and all of these other things that are happening with us as far as destroying the planet. As well, we have to take into consideration the fact that we are moving toward galactic center, and there will be different magnetic pulls and whatnot, and interactions with other planets, star beings, and star systems, and maybe even star beings as well, that are going to, it's going to be a balance. I mean, it's Earth, Mother Earth, is trying to rebalance herself. She's been traumatized. And there will be different, as we know, the magnetic poles are shifting. I don't believe, I will say, the one thing I do feel is I don't see a huge dramatic pole shift happening. I don't feel that. I think it's more symbolically, as many of us are speaking of in the consciousness movement. But I do feel that there will be more upheavals. I do feel that there probably will be more earthquakes. Now, we have to also take into consideration that the powers that be may be doing weather modification and or other types of earthquake instigations, so to speak. So, we are going to be seeing some more earth changes. It's not over. And this conflict that's happening between man and planet and nature is going to be a very big factor in this. So we have to really just be prepared and be safe and do everything that we can in order to ride out this this wonderful birthing process that we're going to be going through. And please remember, this is a birthing process. This is not an end by any means. The other aspect that I wanted to touch on as far as my predictions for 2012 and beyond are the political aspects that are happening. The wonderful thing that seems to be happening, and I may want to blend this in with social as well, is that, while the powers that be may be tightening their grip or attempting to tighten their grip, but we're also seeing a galvanized movement, for lack of a better term, of communities, of people, of organizations, of movements uniting. And I won't say uniting against, but uniting for unity. So the harder that the grip on this so-called control grid that the powers that be are trying to implement, and actually are implementing, and probably will continue to implement, and it may get worse before it gets better. I probably will. Sadly, it's sad to say, I do feel that I see the political situation getting much more tumultuous and tyrannical before we start to see them ease their grip and kind of give up. It has to come to a point for them to finally realize this is not going to work. It never does. You know, we've seen throughout history that tyranny never, ever succeeds in the long run. But will there be an attempt? Of course, there's going to be an attempt. There is an attempt happening as we speak. And again, let me tie this in with the social aspects of my feeling for 2012, as we are seeing a unification. We're seeing organizations, communities, groups, online communities, online groups, the Occupy and whatnot. Everyone is uniting. I would love to see the Occupy movement and the Tea Party unite. I mean, they are populist movements if they can get over their egos. They basically want the same things, you know, but that's my wish. However, we'll see how that happens. But my word for 2012 is unity as far as that is concerned. I feel a sense of unity, reaching out to other organizations and movements and whatnot seems to be occurring already. And we're going to see a lot more of that this year. I really feel a very, very strong intuitive sense on that. As well, let me talk about the individual and our consciousness with what is happening. And whether it be metaphysical, whether it be transdimensional help, or even just awakening to the world around us, what I'm seeing for 2012 is a grander scale of what we call the awakening process happening around the world on an individual level. We're seeing people now speak of consciousness much more than has ever happened in history and on a global scale. And we're seeing a lot of people that are acknowledging that they are much more than their political party. They're much more than what they were brought up in their families or national religion, for lack of a better term. We're starting to really sense that connection individually, and what's going to be happening and what you're going to be seeing is you're going to be seeing a lot of people kind of freaking out over this, but I feel it's not going to be as bad as it's been over the last few years. I'm kind of seeing I'm sensing kind of a speeded up process of awakening, and I don't mean that in a hocus pocus kind of way, but I'm sensing bigger aha and epiphany moments for individual people. What we're starting to see, and we are going to be seeing very much this year, individually and consciously, is we're going to be starting to see that shift, that split. You know, we always talked about the split at 2012, and nobody really knows what that means. I personally don't. I have no definitive answer of what this two-world splitting concept that's been talked about over the last several years as far as 2012 is concerned, but I will say this much, is that as all of us as individuals are going to start having these large epiphanies, downloads, some people call them, I call them downloads as well, of information and awareness and awakening, that, you know, we're going to be embracing this new paradigm of cooperation, of acceptance, of self-responsibility, taking care of one another as far as communities and whatnot are concerned. But at the same time, we're still living in this, or being pulled back into the old paradigm by the powers that be, the media and whatnot. As long as people still have televisions, they're going to be, tempted back, come back to Walmart, that kind of a thing. Come back to your political party. They're not like you. So we're going to see a lot of struggle, a lot of inner struggle between people's spirit, which is really blazing and will be blazing as the months proceed toward our winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, December 21st. But I also feel that as the spirit aspect of ourselves is going to be like ablaze and awake, we need to be very aware of the old habits that we've had for the past part of our lives, and how we've been affected by society, whether it be through media, through peers, through family, and whatnot, and that pulling us back into that old mess, that old movie, of us versus them, or they're not like me, or I don't shop there, I will shop here, or, it's because it's cheap. You know what I'm saying. I don't want to go to the whole, commercial capitalistic definition. We all know what it is. But we're going to start seeing more. I'm seeing that, I know myself, I firmly believe in giving everything away for free, as you know, which is why I live the way that I do, and I do what I do. And we're going to start seeing a lot more people doing that. Now, however, that's not to say people don't still have to make a living, so let's be aware of that. Don't get mad at me if I need to charge, $10 for a DVD, which I plan on doing in about 6 months. Don't get mad at people for charging money to go to a conference. It costs money to pay for a conference room, that type of thing. What I am trying to say is that we're going to see less, I'm hoping, no, I know, we're going to start seeing less pettiness when it comes to, dollars and cents, so to speak. And I do feel there will be more of a participation in cooperation. Now, again, a reminder, our egos will try to pull us back into that, what about me? Forget about me. It's us. It's now going to be us, and we need to be aware of this, and that it's normal to feel us. It's not normal to feel me anymore. We are individual perspectives. Yes, we all have individual perspectives. It's not to say you're going to become a Borg and become a part of the collective, but being a part of the collective consciousness is through your own individual perspective. So you will never lose your individual perspective, but don't make it about feeling that you need to be different. You are different. You will always be different, but it's not to say that you can't connect with the whole. The other aspect I want to talk about is disclosure. We know, and we have been seeing a lot over the last couple of years. I don't know how much of it has been manufactured propaganda by the media. I'm not sure how much of it is true interaction with interdimensional, transdimensional, or extraterrestrial beings, but I feel that as we are individually waking up, as we are starting to believe in the infinite, as we are starting to live in possibilities, we are going to start seeing more and more interaction with individual entities, whether they be transdimensional and or extraterrestrial. I believe that we're going to start seeing thousands, if not millions, more stories of people being contacted on an individual level. Sadly, I'm not sensing the government coming clean. I don't feel that. I think they will have to be pushed against the wall, so to speak, before they actually do come clean with the knowledge that they have. And the contact that we know they already do have. But I do predict that there will be a lot more individual contactee stories coming out, and as we begin to accept this new paradigm, as we do move away from ego into spirit, we're going to be seeing a lot of more interaction with otherworldly beings on that particular note. Now let's move beyond 2012, because it's not all, it's not going to be all roses and peaches and cream and whatnot. There has been a lot of talk about the 2013 spring solar storm season. And I'm not a scientist. I don't have a reference to compare and contrast and do my own research on this. So if anybody out there it does have scientific knowledge on this, please by all means share it and put it in the comments and share it with all of us at the Global Illumination Council. But NASA has come out and said that there will be an incredible amount of solar activity in the spring of 2013, and there is a very good possibility that the world grid will collapse they're saying, anywhere from 6 months to a year. From what I've read recently, they're talking like a global Hurricane Katrina type situation. So until we can disprove or prove this, I say to you, This is the very reason why we are connecting with community. This is the very reason why we are starting to have, how do we call it, ground communities, ground groups beyond the internet. You know, we're talking about in your own neighborhood, in your own community. It is important to start doing this, building those community gardens, those getting to know your neighbors. You know, who are you going to turn to if this does actually happen? So it is a right, you know, whether it happens or not, there's nothing better than building a strong community. So if that's the motivation you need, by all means, you know, we need to take care of each other if this does happen. So let's be prepared as if, you know, it kind of reminds me growing up in Miami and living in Miami most of my life. You know, you see the hurricane coming, but you don't quite know if it's going to hit, but you prepare anyway because you have to, in case it does hit. So until we know what's happening with these solar flares and whatnot in 2013, I think it's very fair to say that it's a good idea to prepare and build community in case the actual grid does go down. Remember, if the grid goes down, there's no gas, there's no food. If there's no gas, there's no trucks to carry the food to the store. If there's no food at the store, there's no food to buy. And don't forget, your credit cards won't work. Your banking isn't going to work. So we have to be prepared for these types of things. Now, as far as, you know, and I'd like to talk a little bit about solutions, and I think that was a little introduction to what solutions we could deal with. And to end on a positive note, I'm going to be offering a free web series. I believe I'll be starting next week. I have it scheduled for next week, unless something comes up. We will be beginning to share and upload the video series, and the video series is going to be called Awakening the Light Body, 2012 Awakening the Light Body. And we're going to cover a lot of topics, including, you know, learning how to ground yourself, learning how to meditate correctly, going to between the thoughts. We're going to be covering releasing our fears, our insecurities, which is a very important aspect of moving out of ego into the collective love paradigm that we speak of often. And we're going to be talking about releasing those and also raising the vibration of our cellular structure. And I'm not going to go too much into diet and all of these things. I have a very different philosophy than many people out there. I have a connection with the stories that we hear about the Buddhist monks who have taken, you know, large doses of LSD and aren't affected, because I firmly do believe it's about consciousness and the mind. I believe that even if your pineal gland has been fluoridated, that just by using your mind and using these mind exercises, that you can move beyond that, move past it. I don't feel you need to live off wheatgrass for the rest of your life to raise your vibration. I really do believe it is about mind and mind exercises and consciousness exercises. So I'm living proof. I am living proof. If you knew my lifestyle for the last 30 years, you would probably think that I would look 20 years older and would be in having cancer by now. But it really is about mind, and I do believe that this series is going to help you with that. The series will also help you with, again, raising the vibration of your cellular structure and then expanding that energetic connection with the rest of humanity. And that's what's really going to help this situation in this coming year. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for listening to me speak on this. Remember, these predictions are not set in stone. They're a combination of what my heart and my head are telling me. And as with anything, I leave you with this. You know, you work with what works for you. You know, whatever you align with is what is right for you at this moment. But I will say that as the larger paradigm begins to unfold, don't cling to the bottom of the river. You know, don't cling to the rocks at the bottom of the river. Go with the flow, or go with the stream, as Abraham says, Esther Higgs. I spoke of this last week, but anyway, don't cling to the bottom. Go. Move forward. Move forward. You don't need to be the old, set in stone idea of who you are. We're allowed to move away from our old beliefs and move into a more aware and conscious way of living. Anyway, I love you all very, very, very much. It's great to be here. It's so good to see you here in the 2012 side of the year. And just please remember, everybody, we do all of this for free. And by all means, please make a donation at thegic.org. We are now using WePay. We are no longer using PayPal at all. So by all means, make a small contribution if you can. All right, everyone, I love you very, very much. And I hope to see you next week when we begin the 2012 Awakening the Light Body series. Please also remember, every Monday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time is my radio show on blogtalkradio.com/GIC. You can also listen to it live at the website at thegic.org. Thank you all. Happy 2012. Happy New Year. And I love you. Bye-bye.